I don't know, that's a long conversation.
Time for the pledge of allegiance to the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Bittner is absent tonight. I open the meeting always with recognition of guests, people who want to address council. I guess I'll do that. I'm a little afraid to do that tonight. Usually when I see 40 people out there, it's not a good sign, but is anyone who wants to address council? A miracle. Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of March 5?
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to pay the bills?
Move we pay the bills.
Second.
Questions?
Any
All-
additions, Deb?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to accept the fiscal officer's monthly financial reports?
So moved.
Second.
Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? One old business item, I think it's more for information. The footbridge in the park, Dave, I'm told it's steady as problem,
We
no
had the
problem.
engineers take a look at it. They said it's fine for the event that's coming up.
Okay.
That's great.
They didn't give you a reading on the future though of the thing.
No,
Okay. All right, that's all you need to know there. They can have the 5K run over that.
Is somebody gonna circle back with them and let them know that they can use that route?
We will.
Did you? Good.
Just so they.
New business, the important business of the evening. Would Mr. David Priest please come forward? Mr. Priest, you're about to become our chief, our police chief. I'm going to let's not make you recite it back to me here. I'm gonna read this, and then if you will do everything here, you'll say I will, okay? I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state and of the ordinances and resolutions of the Village of Westfield Center, not to be influenced by any consideration except that of merit and fitness in the appointment or discharge of employees, not make or authorize the expenditures of public money otherwise than for adequate consideration and efficient service of the Village of Westfield Center. Faithfully in all other respects, discharge the duties of the position for this office. If you will, say I will.
I will.
Congratulations. Don't stick him. Well, you do fine.
There we go. There you go.
David, congratulations. And to see such a level of support is a wonderful thing. In fact, Mr. Robs leaned over and said, well, it's obvious we made the right choice. But, I think that goes for all of us. You know, it'll be a good meeting. There's no reason for you to go home. enjoying a party or something? David, you could just stay here and listen to all this good stuff. But, that'll totally be up to you. We even have the former law director tonight checking up on you, on the present law director. So everything's in place. And again, thank you all for coming. And congratulations again, David. Thank you.
We're excited about this.
Okay, I'm going to move into the agenda.
Take care of myself.
Item 2 is body camera.
Always. Yeah. I'm not. Yeah.
Okay, body cam footage, considering a fee. We noticed in the newspaper that Brunswick is looking into this because of just blanket requests from St. Louis or someplace for your body cam footage and all that kind of stuff. So Aaron, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Yeah, and for the sake of discussion or consideration or, kind of next steps, I did print out the Brunswick policy. If you flip, I guess it's the third page, it's front and back, so it's the second sheet that's in there, but the third page, section 4.0 references their new section that's specific to police video records. It's got an effective date of April 3rd, so it is a recent development. So they have their section 3.0 of their plans on the same page, references the cost for public records generally, copying cost, duplication costs, those kinds of things that are permissive. And then they have a separate section, particularly because of how much more cost is involved in producing records of body cam footage that ties to that. The key components to this, I think, that if this were something council wanted to move forward with, is it's still tied to the actual cost, because from public records law, generally, you're not able to charge a fee to make it more difficult to acquire public records. But if you can track your actual cost, that can be charged. So they have done some, I think, research leading up to the development of this policy of what it costs them to create those records. And that's where this ties in. And so if it's a longer or more voluminous record, there's a more significant cost. But they tie it to $75 per hour of video produced. And their cost basis for that's referenced in here relates to the process of blurring out other faces. And, there is actual production time involved in that. And anybody who's in that industry knows you're paying somebody to do that, particularly in a smaller village like Westfield. There's going to be costs incurred there. So I think if this were something that council wanted to move forward with, the next step would be to evaluate what those costs would be, either relative to historic costs where we've done it before, or just getting, making the calls that we would make if we were requested to produce that and get an idea of what that baseline would be. I think the other important thing here is they've got that baseline cost $75 per hour. I think that's tied to something less than probably what they actually would have out of pocket. So if you call somebody and they say, we're going to charge you $150 an hour, I don't think that in and of itself would make that number reasonable for purposes of a policy. But you'd at least have a baseline that would support, it's going to be at least 75 if the initial quote gets significantly higher than that. So I think that's kind of the baseline that they were following. So
Had anybody asked?
Not that I know
It was strange. I saw the article in the paper and I thought, oh, this is interesting. And then that very next day, we got two scam. We think they were scams.
I think they're scams. I don't think those were legitimate requests.
Right.
In the time that we've had the body cams, we've only had one records request, and that was from a village resident who was part of the call in question. So we've been incredibly lucky, but it's good to have a foundation down for if this is something to be encountered in the future. If going forward, if it were to fall on me, I would farm it out to somebody like, for the reduction that the law director's talking about, I would attempt to farm it out to Montville BD. They do have a permanent person who does that, has the software to redact that, because we currently do not have the software to redact the videos ourselves.
And they'll do that for us as an independent contractor?
That's been an informal agreement between myself and the chief over there, which I'm sure would, as long as it doesn't start to run into an issue where they're being inundated from us, I think that would be the same going forward.
There's more than just the redaction though. They do the redaction and the duplicating and the whole thing over there?
Well, the duplication of the video is
Somebody else.
pretty simple. We could make copies of our videos from our server. It's the redaction process that is time consuming. We haven't had to, I haven't been charged in one instance.
Well, would you put together something for us with them and ask them if they would do it on a charge basis so that we could put it in our,
right, just
tell them
to
what we want to
be,
do.
just to be clear, the question wouldn't be asking them to charge us. I think it's just getting a sense of what the charge would be, because
Yeah.
we do want it to tie back to what the actual cost is. If they're doing it complimentary, I suspect that they've probably got software costs and things like that.
Right,
So-
and when I say this is the coincidence of, we've had the body cams for, I think, since 2020, and it was within 6 months of me fielding the body cams that I had to request.
Mhm.
So this is all kind of exponentially grown. Even at that time, Montville wasn't experiencing the numbers that they.
Well, and they may have done it gratis 4.5 years ago, but if they
Right,
started
but
getting.
that
a bunch
probably
of
would not be the
requests,
case now.
we should.
And that would be the
have a fee structure in
conversation I would
place that
enter in
we're
with
agreeing
them.
to.
Yeah.
Going forward, if we had an incident, would you guys do it for us? And B, what would
Right.
the cost be?
But this is a cost that we would pass through to the requester.
Right. But I was making the clarification that we wouldn't want to say, yeah, give us a number that, you pull out of the thin air. It needs to be, yeah, realistically based on what the cost to the village would be.
And I think we should do something similar to Brunswick and establish a policy over who we would charge and who we wouldn't. For example, a prosecutor looking for, or a defense attorney in a crime looking for police versus a YouTuber.
If it's coming through if it's coming through the public records policy, they have an exemption component. Is that what you're talking about? Where you can be exempted from those fees.
Correct.
That's certainly worth considering in the scope of the
That to me would
bigger
seem
policy.
fair.
Well, a prosecutor or a defense attorney has the right to subpoena the records, and that's a whole different channel than going through public records. You can't charge them for that.
And I think when you have a public records policy, if somebody's coming through that door, and I'm not finding fault with with this, but they've got a licensed attorney as one of the potentially exempt folks. But if the way that licensed attorney is coming into the material is not through a subpoena, I would think seriously about having two different fee structures within the public records door. If that's the doorway you're entering, I think it should be more or less
Yeah, this
uniform.
Gazette article states, just paraphrase, the following groups could fill out an exemption request and not be subject to a fee after the request is approved by the city manager. This is Brunswick. Licensed attorney, official representative of public office, a victim or their duly authorized representative, or a licensed insurance company.
Yep. And that's,
Those would seem like legitimate requests that we should probably wish to accommodate somebody who wants them for just for sensational purposes.
yeah, I think there's probably another mechanism to deem those not public records requests at that point. But if they're making requests through the public records policy, and that's in section 4.4 of what's there, the actual language of that. There's another one. They include a resident of Brunswick and or any other public purposes determined by the city manager. But they've got a little bit broader interpretation of that, I think, than what we would want to do from a village perspective in terms of how we apply that. Because I do think the distinction would be, subpoena or some legal proceeding, versus public records.
Yeah.
And if it's a public records, then I think the policy needs to apply.
The more of that other that you do, the more trouble you have.
And again, I'm not finding fault with what they've put the time into putting theirs together. I think it's a good starting point for the sake of discussion, but I would get a little bit leery of some of those things. So.
See that for us, Jim?
Okay, thank you.
Before I move into the next one, I'm gonna skip to the fire report. They have another meeting, and I just don't want to make them sit here just to sit here until such time, another 20 minutes or so, we get to that. Go ahead, Ron.
Thank you, Mayor. Monthly activity report for March, we had a total of 44 runs. We're 8 ahead of last year in March, we only had 36, so we're up this month, or excuse me, last month. 28 calls to the township village, 7 to Lodi and 1 to Seville. During that time, 26 were during day shift hours from 8 A to 8 B, and 18 were from night shift from 8 P to 8 A. Again, we gave mutual aid 8 times. We received it 5 times. And department updates, $31,006 was billed out for EMS billing money. To date, $10,237 has been billed out for the MBA fire cost recovery. We've not received anything yet. We have 21 resident transports, 5 non-resident transports, and 2 mutual aid non-resident transports. We have not missed any calls for service. And then just under general, we'll bore you with all of this, but under general, we did participate in a statewide tornado drill on Wednesday, March 19th at 9:50. I can safely say 3 of the 4 sites were confirmed to be working correctly. The high school, the central processing facility, and the one here in the village. We just didn't have enough people to get out to the 4th site, and we don't have the reporting software that lets us know if it did or did not go off. But they are being constantly checked. So, and while we're on the topic of that, since we are getting into storm season, I just want to make a public comment that just as a reminder that these are outdoor early warning sirens. Since their installation, they were never, ever meant to be heard indoors. And I think that's getting out there. Well, I never heard it when I was in my house. They were never designed for that. If you can hear it in your house, great, that's just a bonus. I strongly encourage, whether it be a weather radio, cell phone, you can sign up for alerts from the Medina County EMA office. To get alerts on your cell phone, so I strongly encourage residents to sign up for that. And I believe we left some cards here, they might be out on the table, if not, we can get some more down here, so. Yeah, and it's on their website, so again, just a reminder that those are meant for outdoor use only. And then basically we're cycling out apparatus in March and April for maintenance, so that's pretty much it. As far as the department updates, there's some other small things on there. I won't worry about all those. And then, you something may have seen, there was an article in the Gazette that 3 departments received the State Fire Marshal's Equipment Grant. Seville, Wadsworth, and Sharon Center. Unfortunately, we were denied that grant of $14,908. So we are trying to constantly go after grants to take the burden off the taxpayers. But unfortunately, it's at their hand at that point. And ironically, we submitted the day after it opened. Then the letter we got, they exhausted all the funds by the time they got to us. So not really sure how it works down there, but we are trying.
So that was the only reason they gave, was that the funds had been exhausted?
Yeah, that was the letter that funds were exhausted by the time they got to our application, which again, we submitted the very next day after it opened, so we'll keep trying, but unfortunately, some people have good luck and luck's not on my side of it.
Questions for the chief?
Any updates on the levy? Township.
Still kind of status quo on that, right?
Nothing's changed.
Right.
Any other questions?
And I do have one thing, just so council is aware, we will start hydrant testing in May. I'll work with Debbie and Christie to work out the details on the scheduling, but just so you know, that's coming in May.
Okay. Gentlemen,
Just real briefly, will you have the dates and the streets by date on the website?
Yep, on Facebook,
Yeah, or Facebook?
and Debbie and Christie have the schedule as well.
Thanks.
we'll agree for your next meeting.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Okay, item 3, Village lots 76 and 77, that would be the firehouse and the vacant lot next door. Jim Curie is not here tonight. Now, he approached Greg about us doing something regarding him having to look at the side of the firehouse. And Bill and I talked some about it. And Greg took it from there. And I'll let him tell you.
Jim's primary concern was, his complaint was that his view of the firehouse is largely unobstructed now, and the firehouse has not been maintained, meaning that there's mold on the siding and it looks unsightly. And the arborvitaes that we planted on our lot on the edge of his property 15 years ago have largely died out. They were improperly planted too close together, and many of them died out and continue to die out. And so talking with the mayor about it, we decided that probably the thing to propose to council would be a final solution to that issue where Jim was concerned. And we got quotes from landscapers, 2 different landscapers, to remove the existing arborvitaes that we had planted. There's only like 4 or 5 left, and put in a bed from west to east that basically would wall off the entire lot from Jim's view, and plant some fast growing varieties of arborvitae there, deer resistant strains, especially planted correctly so that they would grow up fast, and basically create a green screen so that his view of the fire station would block. We proposed that to Jim conditionally and mentioned to him that we would like to take the opportunity at our expense and with his permission to remove his stockade fence in his backyard, which he has put up probably 20 or so years ago, back when the Kelling house stood on that property, long before the village acquired it. And the fence is, it's old, and it's starting to show its age, and it's very visible from the street. We just thought it'd be an opportune time to take that fence down as we plant this brand new, wall of trees there. And we also asked for his sweat equity and keeping the new trees watered as they come in over the first summer. And that was basically in response to his overture that he would be willing to cost share this type of solution with us. Long story short, we did all that. We obtained the quotes. We presented that information to Jim, and he declined to support us in our effort to provide that solution. His issues were, he didn't want to take his fence down. He could not commit to helping us water the plants. He also indicated that the trees are not his first priority. First priority would be beautification of the north wall of the firehouse, which is something we've talked on and off about doing over the years and just haven't gotten around to doing yet. By beautification, meaning cutting in a bed of shrubs along that north wall and putting some green material in there, so it's not just a side of a commercial building. So after the conversation with Jim, I just explained that without his support for us to go forward, we weren't comfortable doing so that we would not. And therefore, what we had proposed to pitch to you tonight, is off the table because we're not going to go forward. But we are going to do some things in the immediate short term to, as a good faith effort, to rectify things partially where Jim is concerned. And number one is pressure washing the north side of the building to get the mold off the side of the gate. And Dave's crew is going to cut the dead branches out of the existing arborvitae that are there and try to maintain them as best we can. Although the days of those trees are probably numbered. So that's where we're leaving it. We may come back at some point later in the year, maybe in the fall, and talk about that north wall of the old fire station. But for now, this is off the table. $6,000 roughly.
20 trees, plus some build up in the back. He'd done a pretty good job on it.
And we would have used Dave and our labor to take the fence down, and that is something Dave and his crew could do easily in an afternoon. And so that cost didn't include that, but it did include taking out the existing trees, planting those, bedding, mulching.
So we'll address it sometime in the future somehow. Okay. Move on from there. Police car grant. It did not come through. It had to do with actually federal legislation. I think they cut all kinds of stuff out. Would like to move ahead with buying the vehicle. We've made no commitment to buy a vehicle yet, have we?
No.
We just switched years thinking we would get a grant. So there'll be no truck bought this year. So I would say I like a motion and a second to buy a police car.
We bought the truck last year.
We bought the truck last year, yes.
And we've got it in the budget.
Yes.
Yeah, that's in the budget.
So I don't, Donna, we need a motion, but what we're
Oh,
saying.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, we should do a
Okay,
motion,
all
but I
right.
just to let everybody know,
Yeah,
it is built into
okay.
our budget.
Yeah. So
No motion.
got a motion here, got a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Get your car ordered.
Thank you.
Get Dave's car ordered.
You're out the door.
Not really.
Okay, I've added a number 5, just more as information or question. Memorial Day's coming up for Craig and Val to be aware of that. and, Make that happen. Item 6, I will give that one to Mr. Oakes.
Last week, some of you probably saw that article that ran in the Gazette about City of Medina installing AEDs in some of their city parks. in response to what is Ohio House Bill 47. So I asked Dave if we had an AED in our park where the ball fields are located. He indicated that we don't, which is not surprising. But apparently this House Bill 47 requires an AED to be installed in any recreation areas where organized sports teams meet. I asked Aaron to address that because I don't know if Ohio House Bill 47 is just a pending bill or if it's a law.
Yeah, and I didn't take a look at that today, but I don't think it has passed yet. So
I'm guessing something like that probably will pass. It seems
Yep.
like a no-brainer.
and again, talking best practices,
Right.
it's a question of, do you want to wait until it is implemented to to comply with it, or if seems like a good idea, you can
We
maybe move
talked
forward
about
with
it,
it in
we
the
ought to do
meantime.
it.
Yeah.
Since this is coming down the pike, I mean, we may as well get
Is
out
there
in front
grant
of it.
money available for the AEDs? There has been.
We've got them over, we get them at the school all the time.
And the cost of those have come way down
Yeah.
in the last 5 years or so.
We know, I mean, my suggestion, and you would probably know better than I, but like, if we go with this, which I'm sure, I think we should do it. It might be something where Dave's group, like during baseball season, when they're over there and they know there's gonna be, an event, that they take it over maybe in the morning, put it in. And then when they close the park at night, maybe pull it. I don't know.
We
instead
could
of
put
leaving
it,
there
Dave and I
24/7.
talked, we could put it in the concession stand because
There you
they
go.
deliver the keys to the concession stand every time there's a game.
Correct.
So people would have access to it, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they make
that-
some weather resistant ones that mount in cases
Yeah.
Mhm.
that can be put on an exterior wall.
I did just look it up. The House Bill 47 was in the prior assembly, and it is in effect. I don't know the effective date of it, but it was signed, so
Okay.
it is coming down the pike either way, so. No.
Dave, do you want to look into that?
Sure.
I mean, is that,
Even the fire chief
Yeah,
have a better, no offense to you, Dave, but if they buy them all the time.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
we purchase their last ones through the fire department and just reimburse them.
Yeah.
He might have a better handle on getting a grant even.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
sent
idea.
them away.
It's all your fault.
Do you want to work with him, Dave? With Chief Hall?
Whatever you,
Yeah.
We can make it happen.
Yeah, as long as, I think Dave should be involved since, it's gonna have to go in the park somewhere and he can work with them on where it would make the most sense to put it.
The way that's worded, it's organized. So, I mean, every time we have an organized activity up there, is the concession stand open?
No,
See, my concern of putting that thing outside is, they can't be locked.
Yeah.
that's why I thought.
That's why I
Well,
say,
Well, you can lock them, but you just have to have the key accessible to somebody on the premises who can open it. in the event of an
yeah,
emergency.
I don't know. I don't think you can lock.
Most times, there's an organized activity. Your crew at some point in the day has been involved, correct?
Correct. Others, we are up there, somebody from staff is up there during the games, but not practice.
I know when school uses the field for games and the trainers there, she always has an AED with her.
How about practices?
When the practices, they don't.
Don't have them at practices.
If the trainer's not there, no, she's there, then she would.
Can we require the coaches to have them? Can we provide them?
You get little league, I don't know.
I think we should get our own only from the standpoint that we can't predict what other future sports events might take place there. I mean, we could grant somebody the ability to.
School's got one this season, they're not.
School baseball tournament or something.
Can we look at both options where there's an outdoor case and see if that's not lockable or lockable, see what that option is, and then the other indoor for the concession use, just to find the price difference. Because that would.
Somebody always organizes, contacts somebody to rent the film. Maybe we say that he is available, and they come into like Debbie, get the key, give the device and the key.
It's another option.
That would work too.
There's-
Situation.
Well, but it could also be used, what happens if somebody's up there playing tennis?
Right.
Well, it's not an organized sporting
Yeah.
event.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, but if we go to one that's mounted on the outside of the building or whatever. I mean, and people know it's there. There's gotta be some sort of a tamper-proof case that, but once you open it, I know the ones we have, you can set an alarm, so if somebody opens the door, it'll set the alarm off.
It, it would probably be beneficial if I just take a closer look at the statute
Sure.
and then
Absolutely.
make sure that whatever policy you go with is compliant with that and then go from there. But I do think it's probably an expenditure that you're at
There
some
may
level
even
gonna
be
want
some
to.
fine print on, depending on how many acres you have, you gotta have so many or something. I don't know.
I think it's, I did pull it up and I think from a very quick glance, it appears to just be tied to the burden, I'll say, of operating a park is what subjects you to it. And, you know, there's some reference to municipal corporations, but there's also some references to school districts. I just want to take a closer look and see how they parse all that out. But, yeah, and I think I explained to you, Greg, we were party to an experience up in Medina where they had one at the soccer fields and it was locked when they needed it. Doesn't do you a whole lot of good. I mean, that story ended up being an okay story because of some parent action, but yeah, to have one and for people to know it's available, then the next step is to make sure it's accessible. So,
Yeah.
but I'll take a closer look and give you a kind of a summary of what it needs to do to check the
Well,
boxes.
why don't we want to just wait till next month, you get an update from you and then we can, Jeff will be here hopefully at that meeting and.
So the nice thing about not being a law director, I can sit back here and research things. So it was effective October of last year, and it does not apply to a village of less than 5,000 people.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
So, but as your law director said, it's probably still a good idea to have one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't even gotten that far.
You know, maybe we could have two of them every month.
Yeah.
I know of a
That's
guy
just
named
double
Hudson
trouble.
that could help him.
That's right.
maybe he could handle mayor's court too.
Yeah, I haven't had a mayor's court in 6 months. He can
Oh,
do
now you
that.
done it.
All right, how are we leaving this?
I think it's still worth taking a look at, even if it
Can come
doesn't
back
apply.
Next month with
Okay,
some,
and then we'll talk with the fire chief about options and whatnot.
Certainly at the point where you're not required, then you could make a condition of, if the grant money is available, then you
Oh,
definitely do
yeah.
it. Yeah.
This building was built without the requirement to have the automatic doors. But you see it has them. So, you know.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Debbie, would you see that that's on the agenda next month? Anybody have any other older new business? Engineers report.
The CDS grant, yeah, going back to the police grant, this grant, it was part of the CDS funds and that was cut, the whole state, there were many projects that were cut, it wasn't just our application in Westfield Center, so, but there is actually some rumblings that it could come back. If that does, then I'll come reach out to you guys. So Congresswoman Sykes said that everything was cut, part of this big purge, it's government spending purge, but once it's come down, it'll come back out a little bit, especially with transportation and CDS funding, so I'll keep my ears open for you, but yeah, it's unfortunate, a lot of things were lost on that. With the Greenwich Road slope project, it's my understanding you guys are going back and forth a little bit on the contract with ORC, right?
That's been approved, although I need a new signature because the one that got signed last week wasn't,
Wasn't the right one?
but I've got it here to be signed.
He
Yep.
just reached out and said
Did
that's,
they accept your changes?
Yeah. Yep.
All
Yep.
right, okay.
he reached out and said that, you just gave me, said they were real close to agreement, so we're gonna set up a kickoff meeting next week, probably via phone, just to get, and I'll have Dave and whoever else wants to join in, on the conversation, just to see how things are gonna go, but that's getting started. And we met with Ohio Edison a couple weeks ago out on the site to show them, so they're fully aware of the 3 poles they need to move, where they need to move to and by when. So hopefully there's no reason for them to delay us, because they've been known to be very slow. But other than
This
that,
building was built. It was 3 floors built, that pole is still sitting out there.
could they do one move it, huh? Wouldn't surprise me.
I didn't know if they were ever gonna move it. I thought maybe we'd have a parking lot around that pole.
Yeah,
So you may be dreaming.
we'll see. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Jason? Okay, police department.
Report for March. We had one report. 12 calls for service. We had no crashes in the village. We had 19 officer generated citizens assists, 10 vacation watches. We had 3 assists to the Westfield Fire Department, 6 to the Sheriff's Office, 1 to Seville Police Department, 1 to Lodi Police Department, and 1 assist to other agencies that was here in the village. We served a civil document or a zoning document, I'm sorry. We had 8 traffic stops, no criminal arrests, 6 warnings and 2 citations. Those citations were through Wadsworth Community. I'd just also like to say this is probably my last meeting, I'm guessing. And I just want to thank council and the mayor that my experience here has been very rewarding and very good for me. So I want to thank council's support with everything that I tried to do at the department. I always felt that you guys were very supportive of anything that I brought to you, and just want to thank you. It's been a real privilege to work here, and yeah, thank you.
Been
Thank
good
you.
for us
Thank you.
too, boy. It has been great for us. Yes, thank you.
You'll be missed.
Yes. Okay, village superintendent's report. Dave.
The March report, processed 5.82 million gallons of wastewater, filed the monthly EPA reports, performed all the required operational testing, and the routine equipment maintenance. Here at Village Hall, we worked on the light system and repaired the hydraulic lift over at the post office. The streets, we identified a leak in a joint on a storm sewer up on Smucker Drive that was causing a sinkhole. That's in the process of being repaired. We checked the vehicles, and we started to clean and repair the village signs that Terry had made a list of. No activity at the cemetery, mulched the beds at the parks, and we're prepping ball fields. And then I denied 1 zoning permit, and that's going on to the appeals board.
Questions for Dave?
Do we ever do any cleaning on the tennis court surface?
Yes. Okay. We did last year, where it was starting to blacken up a little bit.
Yeah, I had a couple.
Yeah, we used the wet and forget on it.
Okay.
It seemed to do a good job. Matter of fact, I was looking at that earlier today, so.
And then is it on our radar? I don't think it's this year, but maybe next year to do some sealing up there for the parking lot. It's starting to.
Actually, it's on our list to do this year.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. Yeah, it's getting ready.
Yeah, it takes a little time, because we basically just have a miniature tar kettle, but.
Okay. Oh, so we do all that in-house.
Yes.
Do we restripe ourselves too?
No. Okay.
Other questions for Dave? Mayor's report, only thing I want here, please sign the form there for your employee handbook and take that with you, and leave your signed form with Debbie. That way she knows everybody got one. And we know everybody got one, and they're been signed for. Law director.
Nothing additional report. I think that BZA meeting, is that on the list here, April 16th? I think we think that was in the works. Okay, I believe that's scheduled. And then I also noticed our next meeting date, maybe I'm getting ahead, is election day. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
It's the May primary. Yeah. So we might need to move that.
Wednesday and following.
Monday's not good because they set up, so it'd have to be after.
That's Cinco de Mayo too.
All right, Wednesday,
That's the 6th.
Seven.
motion to have the May council meeting on the 7th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I guess everybody's available. Okay. Council comments and concerns. Mr. Bittner is not here. Val Koenig,
Not here.
Julie McNabb,
That's like,
Mr. Oakes,
I have nothing.
Rick Robbs, Greg Stay welcome. Next meeting will be May 7th, not 6th, at 7 PM. No executive session tonight. Can I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Good night.